What it do, y'all, and welcome back to my channel. I am very excited to give you guys a update on my Pan 22 eyeshadow palette project pan. In this particular project pan, what I have been doing this year is kind of replacing this with kind of a pan that palette, because in previous years I would get bored of the palette, or I would finish my favorite shades and then the rest of the palette would just be sitting there haunting me for the rest of the year. So basically this year what I decided to do is just go through my favorite shades, or just the shade that was very convenient in that moment, out of older palettes. So kind of a shop my stash, pan that palette mashup type situation. And my goal was, of course, to pan 22 eyeshadows. On the screen right now, I will tell you guys how many eyeshadows I have panned to date. And then at the end, I will also give you guys, including any potential pans that I will be showing you guys in this video. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the background of this project pan, in the event that this is the first time you've watched this series, or you've even been introduced to my channel. Also on my face, I recorded the eye look and it should be available. I'm gonna aim for it coming up next week, but in the event that you really want to know what's on my eyes, it is from Nomad Cosmetics and it is their Net palette. So very excited for this. I don't know how many looks I'm going to be able to do with it, but I'm going to try to aim for 3 if at all possible. I also, just in case you care, on my face have the new foundation that I'm testing out, which is the Makeup Forever 4in68 shade. So very happy about all that jazz. Like I said, this video will be linked down below when it becomes available, so just check that out in the event that you are interested. With that said though, I think that's all I got to say. Let's go ahead and get into the update when it comes to these palettes. Alrighty guys, so very excited to show you guys the update for this palette, and I just want to thank any and everybody who liked my comment on the community post. I'm sorry it took so long. Yesterday was a very it was a lot, and I just did not have it in me. When I was able to go to sleep, I just kind of crashed, completely forgot to post a community post saying that I would not be able to get my video up on time. But as I've said, these next couple of months are going to be very shaky on whether my videos are going to be up at 6 a.m. So I appreciate everybody who's given me that latitude today, but I am going to aim at all possible to get this up within the next hour or so of me filming today. So just kind of giving you guys that background, if you will. Anyways, so the first product that I want to talk about is actually from Dose of Colors. This is their Marvelous Mauves palette, and I am very happy to say that I hit pan. It is a very minute amount of pan, but it is pan nonetheless, and it shows how much product is actually in these palettes, but also how much you have to use the palettes to get to it. So you have so much amount of usage for your money that even though I think these are somewhere around $30 something, they are worth it, you know. And that's something I'm learning in this project pan specifically. The quicker I get to pan, I feel like the less worth it the palette maybe is, regardless of how expensive or how cheap it is. Whereas these, I have had to work for that pan, and so I feel so much more reward, and honestly I'm more so willing to actually buy from this brand. I love the formula, I love the arrangement of shades from dark to light, and I did kind of depot it originally when I was at the very beginning of my makeup journey, and I just didn't see the difference because of eyeshadow formulas, because of the eyeshadow primers that I was using, the brushes I was using, the technique I was using. Now that I've kind of learned more about eyeshadow and how to apply it for me and how I like it, I can definitely see the difference. I can definitely see the variety and the usage that I can get out of this arrangement. So yeah, very happy with that pan, and also very happy that I spent my money on that. It is definitely going to stay in my collection. Absolutely love that palette. It is just going to be out of this rotation specifically when it comes to this project pan. The next is going to be its sister, if you will, and that is the Dose of Colors Sassy Sienna's palette. And I didn't tell you guys which shade I was panning. I'm sorry, I'm panning this shade down here, and it's well, I was panning this shade down here, and it's Wine Stain. Sorry about that. Okay, so the next one I want to talk about is from the Dose of Color Sassy Siennas palette, and I was aiming, and still am aiming, to hit pan and stay sassy. The way I've been using this since I've had it in the project is actually in the crease, so I've been using it with a fluffier brush, so the amount of area that I'm actually hitting in this pan is bigger, so it's harder to get to the pan like I did with this one in this one. That said, now that I've finished and panned my Marvelous Mauves, I am gonna now actually start using this as more of a faux liner look. I loved doing that with the Marvelous Mauves, and I think I'm gonna enjoy doing that with this as well. I do that in my normal videos. I do that even when I'm doing 3 looks sometimes, and also of course on my day-to-day makeup for just myself, or you know, going out and having some fun. So even though there is no pan now, I am very, very hopeful that by the end of this year, there will be pan there. Because it didn't take me too long after I started targeting the Marvelous Mauves as a faux liner for me to actually see that pan. So we'll see how it goes, but very, very excited and very much still happy to have that shadow and that palette in this project pan. Next we have the Viseart Dark Mattes palette, and for me, I was aiming for pan, and still am aiming for pan, in this more mac and cheese shadow. Once it gets on my eyes though, it does turn a lot more orange, just in case you did not know. This palette is beautiful. I think this is the perfect depth level for somebody of my skin complexion and deeper. It really works. I know a lot of people really love their vivid mattes, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure that is a fantastic quality and it will work beautifully on me, but this is just kind of more earthy, neutral, natural tones of the rainbow on my skin tone, which is why I truly, truly love this palette and why I love having this in the project. As you can see, there is no pan yet, but just having this accessible and very close to home allows me to really reach for this palette when I'm doing everyday looks, when I'm featuring certain palettes in my tutorials, anything and everything in between. So I'm very, very much happy to have this in the project, and although I haven't hit pan yet, it will be staying in the project. Next is one I've been aiming. I've been getting some use out of this, and it does not want to provide the pan for me, but I'll get there. I'll get there. So this is the ABH and Jackie Aina palette. You guys have been seeing this in my description box, and in this particular palette, I am aiming for Trust Issues, which is the shadow right above my thumb. I love this arrangement, and I love this color scheme. I always had an appreciation for it, even when it came out, but since really getting into neutrals and loving to just kind of do a little bit more of an enhancement of beauty and not really like clown makeup, even though I love clown makeup, don't get it twisted. I just have really found a new appreciation for this palette. I've been using these browns for everyday looks, two color looks. It's so easy with this palette, and the best part about it is because it was collaborated with a person of color who is a similar complexion of mine. I know that all of these shades work for me, every last one, and that's my favorite thing about this particular palette. Whereas some of the ABH palettes, some of those lighter shades and tones, it just isn't worth it for me. So even though I haven't hit pan yet, very much excited to continue getting my usage out of that, and still very much appreciative to the person that bought it for me. You know who you are, and hopefully in my next update or two I will be able to say that I hit pan in it, because I have a dent. I have a dent in that shade. Next is a palette that I truly only put in to kind of help me get use out of another shade. So it's not really one that I ever thought that I would reasonably be able to hit pan in, but I just wanted to kind of put it in the project, if that makes sense. Anyways, it is the Dominique Cosmetics Latte 2 palette, and I put it in the project for the shade Matcha. This will make more sense if you are not familiar with this project once I show you guys my last shadow in this project, but Nonetheless, I enjoy this palette and I enjoy having it easy accessible because I do keep all of my Project Pan palettes on the top of my desk. For these neutrals, these have been really nice to just do like two-toned looks, two shadow looks, whatever you want to call it, even one shadow look sometimes, where I just throw something in my crease on my lid and pop something in my inner corner. It just works really nice. So I've really enjoyed that. But this is the shadow. I've gotten some use out of it, maybe not as much as I thought, and that's because I've actually been able to figure out a way to manipulate some of the other mattes that I've had in this project to work with this last shadow, and I actually enjoy that look as well. I'm not going to take this out of the project. I think I'm going to keep it in maybe for a month or two still, if not until the very end. Why not? But yeah, I'm very happy for this product, and once again, I was able to get this for half off, and for half off, this is fantastic. If you wanted this palette or interested in this palette, I do believe right now Dominique Cosmetics has the palette on 25% off because of Hispanic Heritage Month. If you did not know, the owner of this brand is Latina, so you know she's going to want to support and really highlight this month as it is a very important month, and hopefully if you don't know about National Hispanic Heritage Month and you live in the United States or otherwise, hopefully you'll take the time to learn a little bit about it, because it's a very important time to celebrate people of all cultures and backgrounds and all ethnicities and skin complexions. So anyways, last palette that I want to talk about is from Nomad Cosmetics, and this is their Harajuku palette. I believe this is one of the kind of last palettes that I truly loved from the brand. I think after this, the next like 2 or 3 were just a little shaky for me, and that's why I ultimately kind of stopped buying from the brand. These last 3 or so that they've come out with, they've really found their stride when it comes to formulation and color scheme. I've been hearing raving things. I haven't taken the time to buy it just because I just haven't, but hopefully soon I will, because I absolutely love their Haunted palette from last year. Looks beautiful, and I'm very excited for their palette they have coming up soon for this year's Halloween. But in this palette, I am highlighting the shade Mushi Mushi, which if you didn't know is how you say hello on the phone in Japanese. Love Japanese in the event that you are interested. And anyways, I have a really nice dent here, and this is the shadow that I wanted the Latte 2 palette. This pulls very teal on my skin, even though maybe in the camera you guys see that green. So I wanted a teal matte to kind of do a one-toned look, and what I would do is I would put this on my lid, I would put the Latte 2 shadow in my crease, and I would actually deepen it up with my Marvelous Mauve shadow, and that was such a beautiful kind of one-toned look, because that purple with that teal matte, those two mattes built together, and it really just looked like a deeper teal in my outer V. It looked fantastic. So I really want to hit pan, like if I could like rub a magic ball and say this is what I want, make it happen, I want to hit pan in these two by the next update. They're both shimmers, and I think I can get it done. It truly just depends on how many palettes I review and how much makeup outside of the like reviewing and wearing of these palettes I do. But I'm aiming to get those two done, and I will feel so much accomplishment you don't even know. But that's I typically try to keep 6 palettes in this rotation. I don't know. Originally when I filmed this video, I did not add another palette, but now I'm feeling like it's a challenge. Ooh, I know what I'm gonna do. Let me find it. Okay, so I just went through and I was gonna do a palette that was actually relatively new, but because I really wanted this to be more of a shop my stash with older palettes, I decided to put that back, and I actually decided to pull this baby out. This is old. If you've been here since I had done my original video with this, you are MVP, because I'm sure this was like still in very bad quality, but I was having fun. Anyways, this is the Nabla Cosmetics Dreamy palette. I do have the second one, and I definitely recommend that one over this one, but I decided I was gonna reach in for this because it has been some time since I reached for this, and I'm doing this because right now I have a lot of kind of colorful shadows in my project pan, both matte and shimmer. And so I figured it would be interesting to add some more neutral shimmers here. So I'm actually going to add the shade Byzantine, which is more of like a chocolatey kind of bronzy shade. So very happy and very intrigued to see how long it's going to take me to get this done, as of course I am filming this in September. I don't have many months left in the year, but why not see if I can add yet another pan. Like I said, I am aiming to hit pan in 22 eyeshadows. So what I'm going to do really quickly is just swatch all these out so you guys can see the color story of the shadows that I have in this project, and then we will wrap this baby up. Okay, so these are the shadows. Let me come in close so you guys can really see them, and I'll tell you which is what. All right, so this shade is from my Sassy Siennas palette, and it is Stay Sassy. This is my Mac and Cheese shadow from my Viseart palette and Dark Mattes. This is Matcha from the Dominique Cosmetics Latte 2 palette. Then we have Mushy Mushy, which is from the Nomad Cosmetics Harajuku palette. Then we have the Trust Issues shadow from the Jackie Aina and ABH palette. And lastly, we have Byzantine from the Nabla Cosmetics Dreamy palette. So that's it. That's all I got for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed the update and also just seeing the color arrangement. I think I literally have a matte and a shimmer that will come together to create a 6 different beautiful color schemes, and I'm very excited to test out these shadows in an even different way than I've used them before. Comment down below if you are doing a project pan, specifically eyeshadow palette project pan, and you are enjoying it, if you're hating it, if you've never done one and maybe you're considering doing one next year. I would love to hear from it. Maybe we'll kind of do one palette project together as a family next year. I would love to just talk to you guys down below, and yeah, I will see you guys then. Bye guys.